Good morning. How are you doing this morning? I am super excited to be here with you for Wellness Wednesday. Thank you so much for being so patient with me. I know we didn't do Wellness Wednesday last week. It was the second day after my puppy's surgery. He's still healing, the poor little soul, but he's doing well enough now that I can actually be here with you. I was so tired last week. There was no way I could come to you with that vibration. It wouldn't have been the same, and this is the topic that I wanted to discuss this week. So I'm super excited to be here with you this morning. As per usual, before we get into today's topic, we're going to take a second. Let's close our eyes. Let's take a deep breath in through our nose and out through our mouth. We're going to do that 2 more times. In through the nose. One more time. Love some breath work. You know, it's my jam. And we will be talking about that as going to be part of our tips for today's tips in reducing stress and anxiety. So I see so many of you out there walking around, doing the things, trying your best every day. And there's so much pain and anxiety and stress and worry, and it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. I remember what that feels like. I still experience bouts of worry and anxiety. I never had an official diagnosis of anxiety, mostly because I was too proud to admit it. And that's part, we'll start there in a minute. I felt like I was saying that I wasn't strong if I admitted that I was struggling. And I always wanted to be strong. And it actually takes a lot of strength to admit that you struggle with anxiety and stress and depression and all those things. I had depression when I was really young, and was treated for that and went through counseling and did the medication thing and, you know, learned some really great coping skills and mechanisms. But really, my problems with anxiety and stress and being overwhelmed and feeling like life was just too much, it would be really easy for me to be thrown off track, which meant it was really hard for me to stay consistent in anything, no matter if it was just hanging out with friends or whether it was going to family events or whether it was, you know, trying to exercise more, to eat better, my anxiety, stress, overwhelm really played into all of that. I couldn't get out of my own way. I couldn't get out of my own way because I was dealing with too much emotion and I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't have the mechanisms in place to help me really live well and be happy and be fulfilled. I was just surviving. I was just getting through the days. And I thought that my stress and anxiety was just normal stress and anxiety, that life was hard and that you didn't always get what you wanted and that you had to pull up your big girl panties and just get on with it, no matter how you were feeling and what was going on. And just this was life. Like, this was how it was, and that I was just going to have to deal. So I would live like that for many years, just thinking it was how it was and that I was coping fine. I wasn't medicated. I didn't have to do counseling anymore, although there were times, not that there's anything wrong with any of those things. Those things are all wonderful and great, and I think that you should do them if that's necessary for you. 100%. Get the help you need always, no matter what that looks like. And that looks different for everybody. But for me, it was a sign of I was doing okay because I didn't need to be medicated and because I was able to cope with my day to day. But I was only just coping. I was surviving, not thriving. I was white knuckling my way through my life. I was starting my day, trying to be positive. This is where gratitude began for me, actually, because I realized that I had a negative mindset, and that was really hard for me to admit because I thought that I was a positive person and I didn't want to be a negative Nancy. I wanted to be happy and a source of love and light to people, but I was wounded. I was hurt. I was not healed. Or healing. That wasn't even on my radar. I just was trying to get through the day. So if you can relate to that, and if you have your own stories, my heart goes out to you. It is a tough thing. Like, it is tough to get out of your own way. It is easy to stay where you are, even though there's pain, even though there's struggle, even though there's you deal with the anxiety attacks and the days where you can't get out of bed and the days where things just all go wrong and nothing feels right in your life. Even when that's painful and that's hard, but it's easier to stay there than it is to start down the road to healing. So I just want to but it's so worth it to get to this side of it, to get to the place where you feel like you have everything you need to live a life that is happy, healthy, fulfilled, and you're no longer slave to the anxious thoughts and the stresses and all the things that come up. You're no longer defined by the circumstances of your life. The circumstances of my life 100% ruled me. What decided if I was going to have a good day or not was what showed up in my day. And that's just not how we need to live. It is not the way that's not living well. That is not living happy. That is not living healthy. That is not living to our highest and best. It's just not the way to move forward. We cannot let the circumstances of our life define us. And it's not to say that that's sometimes not going to happen and that we're still not going to sometimes fall into bad habits. I just had a whole week of stuff where it was easy for me to get overwhelmed, and but I noticed the patterns right away, and I honored where I was, because so much of my problem came from the fact that I refused to acknowledge it was happening at all. I refused to acknowledge that I was anxious. I refused to acknowledge that I was stressed. I refused to acknowledge it. I kept pushing it down and saying, I don't want this. And I tried to replace it with something else, but you can't just push it down and put something else on top of it. It's going to keep bubbling up to the surface and spilling over into your life. You can't just push it down. You need to let it out. You need to let it heal. You need to give it some love. You need to give it the tools. You need to surrender. Surrender to where you are. Honor how you are feeling. Acknowledge that this is where you are and that you can rise above it and that you can get through it and that you have the ability to learn and grow and heal and step into a different version of you that is not anxious and stressed and overwhelmed, and that you can have tools that will help you and push you forward. And it is so, so amazing. So it's funny because I've been trying to put a definition to anxiety, stress, overwhelm for years. And I've always heard different versions. And I just did some mindfulness. I just got my mindfulness certification. It was so good. Like, the training was so good. It was amazing. I learned so much about the brain and about, oh my Lord. The words are going right out of my head this morning. Real life. I learned so much about how we rewire our brains and how and here's what I want you to know. Just because you have anxiety or that you live with anxiety or you have these issues that are coming up from you doesn't mean you have to live with them forever. It doesn't mean you don't have to accept it as part of your life. You can change it. You can heal it. You can move forward from it, and you can live with it while you're doing it. And it gets to be fun, and it gets to be easy, and it gets to be enjoyable. Sometimes it's going to be hard. Sometimes there's going to be emotions that come up, but it's so worth it to embrace it. And the first step is really to embrace it, to honor where you are, to acknowledge it, surrender to it, so that you can do the work that you need to do to heal it. And so anxiety and stress, and this was the definition that I got through my mindfulness training, really is just it comes from either focusing on the past, what has already happened. I mean, how many times have you laid in bed thinking about that conversation that you wish you would have had differently, or thinking about, things that have already happened, things that you can do nothing about because it's already passed, it's already done, and thinking about what you wish you would have done differently, or how you would have done it differently, or why did I say that? Why was I so awkward? Why? And it just runs, right? Like your mind runs constantly. I used to hate that. That used to drive me bananas. It no longer happens. So good. Like, I don't have the running diatribe anymore. It is very rare when that happens now, and it's usually when there's something going on in my life specifically, but I, again, have the tools to deal with it so that it doesn't take over. So it's either anxiety comes from focusing on the past or worrying about the future. That is where it all comes from. We are either in the past or worrying about the future, and we are not present in this moment. We are not being mindful of what's happening right now. We are stuck in the past or we're worrying about the future, and that is where it all comes from. And I was like, that is an awesome way to look at it. And it's true. Like, anytime I've ever had anxiety, it wasn't about what was happening in that current moment. It was about what I was worried about what was going to happen, or what I was thinking about had happened in the past. So for example, when my stepdad got diagnosed with cancer, obviously that is a very anxious inducing thing, like your mind. But it wasn't the fact that he was sick now that I was worried about, because he didn't even look sick. He really didn't. Like, he looked, he wasn't 100% well, but it wasn't a man who I would have said that man has cancer. What I was worried about was, is he going to survive? Is he going to be okay? What does this mean? What does this mean going forward? I was thinking about the future. I wasn't staying in the moment, being present and dealing with what was right in front of me. I was 100% worried about what was coming down the line. And that's a very natural reaction to have. It 100% is. But that is why I also started a gratitude journey at that time. It's so funny that my foray into gratitude and doing a regular gratitude practice came at a time when we got really hard news. But it was so helpful to have that gratitude, to be able to focus on the now and to focus on what was happening in the moment and to focus on what I could be happy and grateful and excited about. So gratitude is something to really consider, to bring yourself back to the now, focusing on what can I be grateful for in this moment? What can I be happy about in this moment? Even in the worst case scenarios of things that are happening, what can I hold on to in this moment that is good and happy and is going to give me love and light and joy? That is a really valuable thing to do. It's so valuable to really look for that silver lining, to search for the good, because no matter how bad things are, there's always good. And here's the thing, nothing really is good or bad. Circumstances are neutral. The circumstances of our life are neutral. It gets to be good or bad depending on what you attach to that. Your perspective is what makes it good or bad. You can have, you don't think that a cancer diagnosis can be a good thing, but how many times have you heard people say who've gone through a cancer scare, or they've survived, or even if they haven't, how many times have you heard the stories of, this was the best thing that ever happened to me because it gave me a different perspective on my life, because it taught me what was really important, because it gave me the strength to decide that I want to do something different with my life and I want to show up differently. So even though nobody wants that, and that could be labeled as bad, it doesn't need to be unless you label it as such. So we need to be careful about the perspective that we're putting on the circumstances of our life, and really try to look at it differently. Challenge yourself to look at it differently. Be grateful. Look for the silver lining. And not to say that you ignore the feelings, the negative feelings that come up. No, don't ignore them. Embrace them. Welcome them in. Give them some love. Thank them for showing where you need the healing. The feelings help you decide what to focus on next, so that you can implement the things that are going to make you feel better. They are meant to teach us, and we're meant to learn from them. So embrace them in. Thank them for being there. Don't be frustrated by it. I used to be so frustrated. Actually, I have done a little bit of digging into my human design, and frustration is like my it's like the thing that shows up for me on the bad side of things. So and that helps me to know that my tendency to get frustrated when things don't go the way that I want them to go, or the way that I expect them to go, is actually part of how I'm made. But it doesn't mean that I let it win. I definitely don't let it win. And because I'm aware of it, I'm actually able to deal with it a lot easier. I don't get frustrated as easily. I don't allow myself to get bogged down in the mess of it all. And it's not to say that I'm perfect at it all the time. We all stumble, we all fall. There's always going to be things that come up to teach us lessons, but allow those lessons to come to you in a way that you're not judging it, and in a way that you're not beating yourself up for it, and in a way, like, give yourself some love, some patience, some grace to work through what needs to be worked through. Because if you're having these anxieties and stresses, and these things are being shown to you, what that means is that it's ready to be healed. It's ready for you to let it go. And it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to decide to implement these tools that we're going to go through now in a second, more so than just the gratitude. The gratitude is in there too. Funnily enough, the gratitude isn't on the list that I prepared, but I remembered it as I was sharing my story. So I'm glad that I put that in there, because I do think it is an important piece of overcoming the stress, anxiety, and overwhelm of your life. I forgot where my train of thought went there. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Really, we want the way to overcome this, and the way to live more happily without the running diatribe of anxious thoughts, without getting caught like spending days down and out. Oh gosh, the time that I don't know how many days of my life I've missed because I was just allowing the thoughts to win, allowing my mind to take over, and just not trying to do anything about it, just escaping into it and thinking that was actually healing, when really I was just trying to avoid it. We need to not avoid it. We need to welcome it in. We need to thank it for being there. And then we need to think about the ways that we can heal it. So here are a couple of really great tips that I employ whenever I find myself getting sucked back into old patterns. I can honestly say I don't get stuck there anymore. I do occasionally get sucked in. I will fully admit, because it is a process and we are growing and healing and it takes time, but I no longer beat myself up over where I am and what's going on, and I just allow it to be whatever it is, because it is what it is. It is what it is, and resisting it is just going to perpetuate it. We need to acknowledge it, surrender to it, and allow ourselves to move past it. So some of my favorite top tips, we actually started with it. It was breathing. Just breathing. There's a reason why people say just breathe, why that's a popular saying, why they teach Lamaze lessons when you're having a baby. I mean, your body's going through an enormous amount of stress and anxiety and overwhelm when you're having a baby. And there's a reason why they teach those breathing exercises, because it calms your nervous system. There's actually science behind breathing and meditation for that matter. So breathing and meditation are my top 2 tips for overcoming your anxiety, your stress, your overwhelm. There's actual scientific studies that are done by like Harvard and Boston University, and they're amazing studies out there on this. But breathing calms our nervous system. So our nervous systems are running on high a lot, and that's part of our fight or flight programming as humans, because at one time we used to have to fight or flight for our life, literally for our life. Like we were trying to survive. We kicked around in tribes. We had to fight for our food. We were being hunted. Like that, it's literally programmed in our DNA, that fight or flight response. But the thing of it is that as we've evolved, the stresses of our life are much different. We're no longer being hunted. We're no longer in fear for our lives every day, but our nervous system still works the same. So your nervous system needs to calm down. And so many of us are just revving high all the time, and we're not giving ourselves the opportunity to really calm down and to allow ourselves to heal and be forward. We're pushing through, we're hustling, we're moving on to the next thing. We're saying, I can't stop because if I stop, I'll crash. How many times have you said that in a lifetime? I was so that person. I'm like, no, I just had to get through this. Just get me through this. I'll get through this and then I'll rest. And then of course you don't rest. And if you do rest, you are completely wasted, you have nothing in you left to give. Your cup is completely devoid of anything. I cannot tell you the amount of times I ran myself into the ground. I don't do that anymore. Don't do that. That does not help. The hustle is not going to help you. Don't push through. Honor where you are. Breathe. It is as simple as taking your hand and putting it over your heart and taking 5 deep breaths in and out. That brings you down. So if you're experiencing some kind of anxiety or stress or overwhelm, take a step back. Take a step back and put your hand over your heart and breathe. Just breathe and allow yourself to calm down. Now, ideally, before you get to the point where you're anxious and overwhelmed, that you're going to start to recognize your triggers. That is a topic for another day. But if you just find yourself in a moment where, okay, I'm totally overwhelmed in this moment, you need to stop. Whatever it is that you're doing, you need to take a step back. You need to honor where you are, put your hand over your heart, and breathe. Do it. It calms your nervous system. It legit brings down your blood pressure. It helps your immune function. Like so many things are improved by just breathing. Just breathing. And meditation as well. Meditation to me is a must do. It is a must do for living well. And I didn't do this for years, but when I started, which is more than a year ago now, almost 2 years actually, when I started adding this into my routine, things changed dramatically. I know it seems like it's a waste of time for some people. Some people really embrace it and love it and enjoy it. It took me a really long time to jump on the meditation bandwagon because I felt like I could be doing something more helpful with this time. And I didn't see the value in it. I didn't see it actually helping. But as I've said many times before, nothing changes if nothing changes. And what I was doing wasn't working, so I might as well try something else, try something different. And I do know that some people do experience anxious thoughts that come up when they meditate. But here's the thing about meditation. It isn't about calming yourself down. Meditation doesn't have a job. it is meant to be a non-striving practice. You're not striving to do anything except be present in that moment. Allow your thoughts to come and allow them to be what they are and look at them from a non-judgmental place. Be an objective observer of your life so that you can see where you need healing and work and what needs your attention. That is the benefit of meditation. It's really bringing an awareness to your mind, to your body, to your soul, and getting to know yourself on a different level so that you can heal whatever needs to be healed. That is the benefit of meditation, and it is an incredible thing, and it has the added benefit of calming you down, of reducing your stress and anxiety. It is clinically proven to do those things. Clinically proven. There are studies that prove that meditation does that it can lower your blood pressure and it can lower your blood sugar. It can help with your digestion, and it is an incredible tool to have in your toolkit, and it is something that I believe is a foundational practice of living well, mind, body, and soul. This is already going longer than I anticipated. It's a big topic, so I'm going to say one more thing before I run into our announcement, because the announcement is really exciting, and we are going to be digging more into this topic in a brand new masterclass that I have coming up August 29th. But before I get to that, that is my announcement. But before I get to that, I want to say one more thing about a tool that would really help you overcome the anxiousness, the stressful situations, the overwhelmed emotions. And it's journaling. Do you journal? Hands up if you journal. Would love to know if you journal. Again, this was another practice that I've resisted for a very long time because, again, I didn't see the value. I thought that there was something else I should be doing. It isn't about what you're doing. Being healthier, happier, more fulfilled has nothing to do about what you do. It has to do with who you are and how you're showing up. Who are you being? Not what are you doing? Who are you being in this moment? Are you being present? Are you being mindful? Or are you just living on an autopilot, doing things the way that you've always done them and expecting different results? That's the definition of insanity. We can't do the same thing over and over and over and expect it to show up differently for us to have different results. It's just not going to be the way that it is. We have to change something if we want to experience something different. And journaling is a huge, lost the word. Isn't that hilarious? It's a great tool to really help you uncover what's going on in the mind, because those running and anxious thoughts need to get out of your head and onto the paper, because then you can really look at them as opposed to thinking about them over and over and over. You can look at them and find out, where is this coming from? Where did I learn this? Is this true? Really getting to the underlying beliefs that have gotten you to this place, because we create our reality. Anxiousness doesn't just show up in our life. It comes from somewhere. There's a root cause from it somewhere, and it's most likely programmed in our beliefs or into some kind of experience, and we need to get to the root of that and heal that in order to move forward and live healthy and live happy and live more fulfilled. And that is where the magic is. That is where the magic is. And until you embrace those things, until you show more gratitude, until you breathe more deeply, until you meditate, until you journal and really get to the root of what's going on, you're going to continue to experience the anxious thoughts and the overwhelming emotions and the stressful situations. And let's stop doing that. Let's stop doing that. Let's create a life that lights us up. Let's be excited. Let's be happy. Let's write a more empowering story. Let's affirm what we want to believe instead. Let's just be happy. Let's be happy. Let's let it all go and be happy. It gets to be as easy as that, or it gets to be as complicated as you want to make it. It's all about what you believe and how you want to shift those beliefs into a more empowering story. And those are the foundational practices that we are going to be talking about in my brand new masterclass that is coming up on August 29th. It's actually called Mindfulness, Why Mindfulness Matters. And I'm going to be sharing the top tips to help you overcome self-sabotage and create a life that you actually love. That is what we're doing together. And we're going to be talking about these practices, and we're going to be talking a whole lot more, but it's going to be a more in-depth experience. It's going to be a 60-minute class. There's going to be a special Q&A where you get to ask me your questions live. It's happening at 7 p.m. on August 29th. It's a Zoom session. You don't have to have your camera on if you don't want to. You can just ask me your question and we'll go from there. But it's going to be an incredible opportunity for you to really understand why mindfulness matters. And I hope today kind of shine a light on that for you. But we're going to go deeper, and we're going to talk more in depth about these topics and about more, and give you the actual tools that you need to set up a wellness regimen that works for you, creating consistent routines. And this is all what we're doing inside the mindfulness movement, which is my brand new membership that I am launching September 1st. Well, I've launched it, but that is beginning September 1st. And this mindfulness movement is going to be just amazing. Like it's so amazing. It is taking all of these tools plus lots more and putting them together in a monthly membership for you in bite-sized pieces so that you can take what you learn and actually implement it. Because as I've said many times before, knowing the things isn't enough. You have to do the things. You have to implement the things. You need to integrate them into your life to have the transformation that you want. How would it feel to be free of anxiety? How would it feel to know what to do in every single situation? How would it feel to be confident in the beautiful person that you are? And to love your body and to love who you are at a soul deep level. That is why I created this mindfulness movement membership. I want to help women take these tools and implement them into their life. So there's going to be weekly yoga classes. There's going to be a monthly meditation that you can use daily. We're starting with a really short one. It's going to be 3 minutes long. If you don't have 3 minutes, you're lying. Like, everyone has 3 minutes to change your life. Come on, it's going to be amazing. So weekly yoga classes, monthly meditation that you can use daily, a daily checklist on the things that you need to do if you want to have the transformation. If you want to be healthier, happier, more fulfilled, if you want to be excited about your life, and if you want to create routines that work and stick for you. And it is customized to you. You get to build it. I'm giving you the checklist of things, and you get to build it to fit your life. It's going to be magnificent. And of course, we're doing it inside a group community where we get to cheer each other on and lift each other up and be positive influences on each other. The world needs more love and light. Come join us inside this movement. It is going to be amazing. Founding members are only paying $25 a month until August 31st. This is a no commitment membership. You do not have to sign up for a year. You don't have to sign. You literally sign up and you can cancel at any time if you decide it's not for you. You're not going to cancel. If you invest in it, if you do it, if you take the tools that we're teaching in there and implement them into your life, you will not quit. You will want more because it is going to be so good. There's also going to be a monthly training and wellness challenge in there. So we'll be taking one thing each month, focusing on that. I'm going to challenge you to implement it into your life because I want you to have the success. I want you to feel amazing. I know what it feels like on this side. I know what it feels like to be energetic and to show up in your life with integrity and to feel confident that you can handle whatever life throws your way, to know that you can have everything you've ever wanted, and to just be sharing who you are and what you want with the people in your life and the thing and with people who matter. Well, everyone matters, but you know what I mean, in a way that just makes you excited, like, and just it makes you happy. And that is what I want. I want everyone to have that soul deep fulfillment. Let's trade our frustration for fulfillment. Let's get out of our own way. Let's try something different. Founding members will be able to come to the masterclass on August 29th for free. So if you join up for the membership before August 29th, you will get the masterclass for free. If you don't want to join the movement yet, you will want to join it eventually. The masterclass is $7. $7. And it's going to be so good. It's going to expand on what we've been talking about today, plus adding a whole bunch of extra things. I have the framework done out. I'm actually a little bit afraid that I have too much in there, that I might have to pare some of it back, because I don't want it to be any longer than an hour, because I feel like I just want to keep your attention and to allow you to not get overwhelmed by what I'm teaching. And honestly, I don't have to teach it all at once, because we're going to be doing it inside the mindfulness movement month by month anyway. And that is what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that you will see the value in taking these tools and really joining us inside that membership so that you can have the transformation that you've always wanted. The mindfulness movement pricing is going up after August 31st. It's going to be $49 a month. And let me tell you, the value inside this program is $222 a month. I wrote it down. Like, the yoga sessions alone are $120 value just for the yoga sessions. And you get to keep the recordings for the yoga sessions too. So it's exciting, and lifetime access for you. You get to keep the recordings and do yoga whenever you want. So we'll be doing weekly classes together, but you can catch the recording every day and do it every day if that's what you decide. It's just going to be so magnificent. I hope this was really helpful. I hope that you take some of these tools that we talked about today and implement them in your life today. It doesn't need to be hard. We don't need to make it complicated. We just need to be willing to do things differently. And when we do, that's where the magic happens. I hope that was really helpful. Please let me know if you would like me to forward you the link to the Why Mindfulness Matters Masterclass. Wow, that's a mouthful. When I get it done up, I'm going to be doing it sometime this week. Because I've just been so engrossed in actually getting the content worked out. I'm just so excited about it. It's going to be so amazing. And if you have any questions about the Mindfulness Movement membership, please let me know. I'm here for you. I love you. I appreciate you. I thank you so much for being in here. Please invite any of your friends that you think would benefit from this beautiful community that we're growing here together. And please remember, this is your community. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear where you're struggling, where you're shining, where you need some help, so that I can provide you with what you're asking for. This is all about you. I'm already doing all these things and reaping the rewards myself. I want to gift these things to you so that you can feel as well as you deserve. Mind, body, and soul. That's it for me. Have the most incredible evening. If you have any questions, let me know. Bye.